What's required for testing? Well, we've already kind of talked about some of these things. The first is you need a testing strategy. The testing strategy typically consists of a hypothesis. What is your control, and what are the different tests that you'll be conducting? You need a goal. You have to set what your expectations will be and what your goals are. And then finally, you need a success metric. Typically, that's some sort of measurement that you'll be able to quantify a before and after so that you can determine how successful your test was and does it return for you. Typically, in a hospital situation, you'll want to hopefully coordinate this with research that you may be using from partner or vendor, maybe some organization internally that helps you calculate patient revenue so that you can determine whether or not your revenue has increased by running these tests and getting more internet leads or newsletter signups and things like that. Before you get started with testing, it's best to start with easy tests before you get to more difficult tests. In this example, I would recommend starting with A/B testing, the most simplest of testing, and then moving on to multivariate testing once you know sort of the direction you're heading. Choose your test areas wisely. This relates back to what I was talking about, the home page. Typically, you want to shy away from testing the home page until you really have a good idea of what you want to test or what you should be testing. The reason for this is that depending on the traffic to your homepage, if you create a somewhat complex test, it can take several months to get the results if your traffic isn't that great. So you want to make sure before you start a test that you understand how long it's going to take so that you don't basically lock down the homepage from being changed until the test is complete. You want to test dramatically. Think outside the box. Typically, you don't want to test whether one word change will make a difference. You want to test large phrases, calls to action, colors, major navigational changes, things that will really make a difference and stand out and hopefully help you meet your end goal and show improvement in your success metric. And then finally, and we talked about this once already, you really need to make testing part of your culture. If anyone asks the question, well, should we make this change to the website? Your answer should be, I don't know, let's test it. And really, it needs to be part of your everyday language and understanding of before we make a change to the website, we're going to put it through testing so that we understand the best creative copy and messaging to use for our particular audience. What technology is needed for doing testing? Well, there's a lot of offerings out there. I would say there's probably a dozen or so pretty decent vendors out there that provide testing platforms. Basically, a testing platform is a software. The software allows you to choose the page that you're going to be testing or your email or whatever electronic form of media that you'll be testing. You input the different pieces of creative, whether it be copy, images, messages, or offerings, and the testing software actually will tell you how long the test will take. It'll also tell you, it will help you set up different waves of testing and different styles of testing. And it'll also help you manage the testing from day to day so that if you see that one of the permutations that you're testing isn't performing too well, you can actually eliminate it and drive traffic to the other tests that are performing well. So the software is absolutely necessary, and some are more easy to use than others. I've included a few on the screen here. The first is Google Website Optimizer. This is a free tool that Google offers for multivariate testing. It does require you to understand how it works or someone within your organization to implement it. And just know it doesn't, because it's free, it doesn't have support by Google in terms of having someone that you can call if you're having issues or need to troubleshoot. And it doesn't offer all of the bells and whistles that other paid testing platforms offer. For example, for Loma University Medical Center, we actually use Autonomy Optimos. This is a testing platform that requires an annual fee. It is managed, so you can call someone to get support and help when needed. They also help us with determining certain strategies and certain areas of the site that we should or can test. And they help us implement the test when needed so that it actually saves us time and it saves our clients time so that it's cheaper for our clients. And finally, there's a few others that just have different offerings. If you're interested, I have a full Forrester article on these different testing platforms and would be happy to send it to you. At the end of the presentation, I'll have my email address, and I'd be happy to send it out if you would like to see it. But some of the others are Omniture Test and Target, Amadisa, and Maximizer. Some of the challenges of testing, and probably the most important, is demonstrating ROI. Especially if you're using a platform that that does have an annual fee, or you're working with an agency that's running the testing for you. Those things cost money, and you need to make sure that your testing is resulting in a net revenue or a net value for your organization. I can tell you that if the testing's done right, typically that value is many times over what the cost is. For example, with Loma University Medical Center, we sometimes are able to show a 600 or 700% gain in revenue just in one particular service line for their organization. You need to prioritize your test initiatives. This Forrester report actually shows this is the second most frequent challenge within an organization that's doing testing, just determining which area of the website to test and what is a priority. So really, take your time, because testing does require resources, and you need to choose which area of the website you're going to test and why, and really have your priorities in place. Some of the others: acting on your test results, making sure you're making changes to your website according to the lessons you're learning as part of testing, and understanding the test results and being able to determine how to apply them, and finally, ownership of testing. Who in your organization is going to own it? Who will be held accountable? Who will help implement the testing? So really, these challenges are facing anyone who's doing multivariate testing. You really have to have these things in place before you begin. This is another Forrester report that I would just like to point out. If there's someone not in-house in your organization that understands testing or doing testing, I'd really like to recommend an agency to help you with testing. Forrester actually shows that in most cases, agencies actually are able to help organizations do better, get better results than on conversion, on completion rates, than when working with an in-house team. So again, if you don't have someone internally, this is not necessarily an easy marketing endeavor to engage in, and you should really know what you're doing before you get started. So with that, I'd like to just jump into some of the test results and findings that we've seen with Loma University Medical Center, and hopefully you'll see the value of testing as we get into these. So the first example is some screenshots of the protons.com website. If you go to protons.com, you will actually see the results of this. On the left, we have the control, and on the right, we have the winning creative. We're constantly doing tests on this website. You can see with the yellow boxes here, basically we're testing a couple of things: conditions treated, and this B box, we're basically moving this box from left to right, and we're adding a yellow color. So if you look at the control, you can see the boxes are switched, and there isn't a yellow color in the conditions treated box. So what did this result in? Well, if we look on the right-hand side here, basically the winning creative resulted in a 2.5% increase in conversions, or people referring themselves to this clinic. While 2.5% doesn't seem like a fairly large amount, I would like to point out a hypothetical scenario. If we say that the site averages about 500 leads per month, a 2.5% increase in conversion equates to about 12.5 additional leads per month. So just in calculating ROI, if a clinic makes about $1 million a year from internet lead patients, this equates to $167 per lead. Basically what you do is you take the $1 million and you divide it by 500 leads per month times 12 months. Therefore, if you get 12.5 leads extra per month, that equates to about $24,000 a year in patient revenue. So hopefully you can see the math there, but basically the takeaway here is one single test that took probably about a month or a month and a half to perform actually results in a $24,000 a year increase in patient revenue. So one simple test can really make dramatic results or changes in revenue for a particular clinic. And typically this is what we would consider a low winning increase in conversion. Sometimes we see increases in conversion in the neighborhood of 30, 50, and 100%. So just recognize that as these conversions increase or the rate is higher, the return on investment goes up quite dramatically. Here's another example of testing a mailing list sign-up form. You can see on the left we have the control, and on the right we have the winner. And some of the things that we changed were the actual page title, Proton Treatment Center Information Request. We changed, instead of subscriptions, free subscriptions, and we made it red. We moved in the B section, we moved everything to the left, and we defaulted a different checkbox. And then in the C section area, we actually changed up a few of the boxes and aligned them to the left. And then in the E section, we actually attempted to get rid of it. So you can see from this particular test, our goal was to increase the conversion rate for the mailing list form. And from the areas we tested, we actually saw a 21% increase in the number of signups we received to the mailing list just by making these test changes. This is really a great tool as well to take to your C-level executives to show them that you're making smart, very calculated changes to the website that are resulting in revenue, resulting in value, resulting in engagement for your customers. Another test, this was actually another test on the protons.com website where we changed the request consultation form. Basically, this particular clinic allows for patients to refer themselves before they come in for an exam. What I'd like to point out here is that the time frame for this test was about 4 months. You can see from the end of December to early April. And basically, at the end of this test, we were showing about 811 visitors to this forum a month, which is a significant number.